What's up guys, Lucky Locks here, welcome back to another video. This is going to be predictions for Bellator 264, Mousasi vs Salter for the Bellator Middleweight Championship. This should be a good card. There's a couple fights on here I'm really looking forward to, and without further ado, let's get right into the action. So the first fight on the night is Sebastian Ruiz versus Jeffrey Glossner at a catchweight of 142 pounds. Kind of a weird limit there, but yeah, Ruiz is 2-3, slightly bigger man here. Had his first Bellator fight in 2019 and lost a split decision there. He has two fights on the Canadian regional scene in TKO. Had a loss to Jesse Arnett, who's pretty good, and also lost to Louis Jourdain. Looking at Glossner, he's 3-2, 1-0 amateur career in Cagezilla down in Virginia. Split his pro LFA appearances 1-1, and then his other loss is Jalen Bates in Bellator, and that's a tough fight, man. That's really not a bad loss. He won his most recent fight by submission last month, so I am going to be picking Glossner here. I feel he has slightly better experience, and he has been more active. He just fought like a month ago, and Ruiz, we haven't seen him in the cage since 2019, so my pick in this one is going to be Jeffrey Glossner. Now we have Orlando Mendoza and John McNeil at another catchweight bout of 195 pounds, so I really don't know that much about these guys, I'll be completely honest with you. I really didn't look into it too hard either, so Mendoza 0-0, he's making his pro debut. He was a 3-0 amateur, just fought 3 weeks ago. And then we have John McNeil, who's also making his pro debut. He was a 3-2 amateur and hasn't fought in 3 years, so yeah, like I said, this is a complete shot in the dark. I really don't know anything about these guys. I would encourage you not to bet this fight, but if you really want to, my pick is going to be Orlando Mendoza in this one. That's going to bring us up to Justin Montalvo and Kendly St. Louis at 155 pounds. So Montalvo 2-0. He was 4-2 as an amateur, training in New York at Longo and Weidman. Pretty good boxer and some pretty nice striking as well. And then looking at St. Louis, I'm honestly not sure about the pronunciation. So he does have better experience, lost his last 2 fights on Titan. And his last one he fought Team Alpha Male guy Slava Borshev. And yeah, you know, St. Louis was a 6-1 amateur. He's got good physicality, but I think I'm going to go with Montalvo in this one. I'm definitely not going to touch this one from a betting perspective, but I just like that he's training at a little bit of a better camp. You know, he has the youth advantage by 5 years, and I do like his striking, kind of like what I've seen out of him in that aspect. So based off that, I'm going to go with Montalvo to get this one done. So now we're having a look at Nekruz, Mirkhojaev, and James Adcock at featherweight. And Mirkhojaev, he has 2 Bellator fights under his belt. He's 1-1 in the Bellator cage. Got a win over Pat Casey, which is pretty impressive. You know, not many 5-3 guys got a win over him. And he was supposed to fight Hassan Magomed. He kind of dodged a bullet there, in my opinion. But, you know, Mirkhojaev does have a bit of wrestling. As for Adcock, he hasn't really faced great competition, and every time he's fought someone with a winning record, he's lost. So I'm going to go with Mirkhojaev in this one, but this is another kind of a low-level fight, and I don't really want any part of it, to be honest with you guys. But after this one, we got some spots where you can really start maybe laying some money down. Okay, so now this is an interesting bout between Danny Sabatello and Johnny Campbell at 135. So Sabatello, 11-1, trains at American Top Team, had a huge Bellator debut over Brett Johns. And Brett John's Bellator debut actually as well, and Sabatello was in there on short notice. He has an extremely suffocating wrestling attack. I honestly don't see a lot of guys being able to stop that. He won his Dana White Contender Series fight after a good run on Titan FC. You know Dana, he doesn't want decisions, he wants exciting finishes, so Sabatello went back to Titan after that and beat a great prospect in Damon Blackshear. Then obviously that huge win over Brett Johns really put him into the contender picture in Bellator, in my opinion. Johnny Campbell, 21-13, also coming off a massive Bellator debut where he was able to beat Henry Corrales, and you know that's no small feat. I just don't see him getting past Sabatello. You know, if Sabatello makes it look that easy against Brett Johns, then you know, I don't know what he's gonna do to Johnny Campbell. I mean, Campbell definitely has another chance to shock everyone and prove everyone wrong in this one, but I feel like this is a tough spot for him, and not only him, but for a lot of guys in the bantamweight division. So I'm going to go with Danny Sabatello pretty confidently in this one. He opened at -350, and he is now at -1200. So obviously people are seeing what I'm seeing. Even if you've never watched MMA, you can probably see it. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back for picking Danny Sabatello in this one at all. But yeah, that's going to be the pick here. I feel like, you know, he's going to use that wrestling and get it done. So this brings us to the women's featherweight division, and we have new signing Pam Sorenson coming up against Roberta Paim Samad. And Sorenson 8-3, new signing for Bellator, as I said, and I think this is a good signing. When I saw this was announced, I felt like this was a good move for Bellator, kind of beef up that 145 women's division a little bit. Sorenson has been a mainstay in the upper echelon of Invicta for a while now, has some nice wins over Nico Montano, Jessica Rose Clark. She beat Elena Kolesnik and Caitlin Young, who are both on PFL this year. And I think she's looking forward to, getting established in the Bellator 145 division. And I think that this is a good matchup kind of to welcome her into the fold. If we're looking at Roberta Paim Samad here, she's 5-1. First 4 wins of her career, were over 0-0 opponents. And then she just lost to Julia Budd on Bellator a year later. Obviously, that's a huge jump up in competition to go from debuting fighters to Julia Budd. She took 4 years off after that and then just won her last PFL fight over a 3-5 opponent. And, even that was 2 years, 2 years ago now, and I feel like Pam Sorenson will give Samad some trouble in this one. She's been a lot more active and just been fighting at a much higher level consistently for years, so my pick in this one is going to be Pam Bam Sorenson. Now we have Gwerder against Khadzimurat Bestaev at 185 pounds, middleweight matchup here. And Gwerder 5-2, 3-2 over his last 5. He's an extreme couture product. And he kind of got fed to Dalton Ross the last time out. Ross is a pretty well thought of prospect in Bellator, and he took him the full 3 rounds. Gwerder is a really tough and durable guy. He's finished all of his wins and has never been finished himself. And then on the side of Bestaev, I know you see that name and you start thinking that he's just gonna grapple him the whole time and get an easy win. But the last time we saw Bestaev was on Dana White's Contender Series against Phil Hawes, who knocked him out in the first round. Both of his LFA fights he lost. One of those was against Alonzo Menefield, and neither of them were really, a strong performance for him, I wouldn't say. 6 of his 10 wins are on Gladiator Challenge, and those are his 6 most recent wins. And, he has a loss in Gladiator Challenge back in 2014, and that's kind of raising red flags for me. Gladiator Challenge is really low-level stuff and always gives me cause for concern, so seeing that 6 of his most recent wins and 6 of his 10 overall wins have come there does definitely worry me. I mean, he is really tall at 6'6". The reach is pretty much even here, though, so I don't really put too much stock into that height. I actually think that Gwerder is going to be able to find some shots through the guard of Bestaev and maybe get a finish in this one. So not crazy confident, but I do feel like Gwerder is the side here, and that's going to be my pick for this match. Now we have a heavyweight matchup between Davion Franklin and Everett Cummings. Franklin 3-0, only 3 pro fights to his opponent's 15. And Franklin also really hasn't fought anyone, really good. He will have a nice size advantage in this one, training at Jackson Wink, but he's still a bit of an uncut gem in my opinion. He's not super polished at this point in his career, but he does have tons of potential, and everything that I've seen from him so far leads me to believe that, he's going to continue to have success in his career. I like what I've seen out of Davion Franklin for the most part. Everett Cummings 15-0 record, so let's have a little bit of a look into that record because I do feel it's a little bit misleading. I'm not trying to take anything away. 15-0 is impressive. I don't care who you're fighting. But from a betting and predicting standpoint, I kind of do, right? So he does have one Bellator fight and he won it. It was against kind of a low-level guy. 10 of his wins were on Gladiator Challenge. So if you remember what I was just saying about Gladiator Challenge, right? I cover a lot of regional MMA, and when I see guys who fought a lot on Gladiator Challenge, that is a red flag for me. He didn't lose any, so that's good. If you lose there, that's kind of another red flag. But at 34 with a somewhat padded record, I don't really think I'd favor him over Franklin in this fight. So I'm going to go with Franklin. Not extremely confident, but, feel pretty good about it. It's an interesting matchup for sure. Definitely could be a surprise here, but I'm going to go with the Jackson Wink product and Davion Franklin to get the job done here. And now this is the match that I'm most looking forward to on the entire card. Magomedov versus Raufeon Stots at bantamweight. I was pretty bummed that we lost this fight off the 263 card, but we have it now, which is great. Magomedov 18-1. At this point, I think we all know this guy. The only man to beat Petr Yan, besides the Aljamain Sterling disqualification, obviously. And the only loss on his resume is Petr Yan as well. So Magomedov is an amazing grappler, has some diverse striking attacks as well. I do like Magomedov a lot, but I'm kind of surprised at how heavy of a favorite he is. Raufeon Stots definitely is no slouch. He's 16-1, and he's an absolute workhorse training at Roufusport. He will have the reach advantage here, and he's also a fantastic wrestler. This is one of my most anticipated Bellator fights of the year. One of the bantamweight clashes I've been eyeing the most in any promotion, to be honest, and I think this is going to be a very competitive matchup. I could see either guy winning, but I definitely favor the side of the Russian Magomedov in this one. Yeah, I'm not so sure about minus 400, but for all we know, he'll come out and, justify the price tag. Maybe a parlay piece. I don't know if I'm personally am going to do that. I'll see what the totals are looking like for this match, but yeah, I think I'm going to lean with Magomedov in this one. This is going to be a really fun fight that I'm really looking forward to, and yeah, may the best man win this one. And we've now arrived at the co-main event of the evening, and this is Andrey Koreshkov and Sabah Homasi at welterweight. Koreshkov 23-4. That's a great record. The losses were to Douglas Lima twice, a split decision loss to Lorenz Larkin, and a loss to Ben Askren back in 2013. And, he also holds a victory over Douglas Lima as well. He's 3-2 in his last 5, and his last fight was on AMC Fight Nights over in Russia. He's slightly younger and slightly bigger in this matchup. Obviously, he's a really excellent wrestler and grappler. Sabah Homasi, 15-9 overall, another veteran, 4-1 in his last 5, and almost 5-0. He was very close to knocking out Paul Daly last time. I thought that he actually was going to do that, and then the tables turned, and he ended up getting KO'd in a pretty crazy match. Definitely an entertaining one to go back and watch if you're interested. Yeah, Homasi is a southpaw training at American Top Team. Does have some power to threaten Koreshkov, and that threat will be there, but I feel like the wrestling of Koreshkov is going to be a little bit too much for Homasi, and Koreshkov is a pretty durable guy as well. I just don't know if I really see Homasi knocking him out. I acknowledge, the threat and that it is possible, but I just don't know if I really see it happening here, so in this one, I'm going to be going with the Russian Koreshkov to get it done. Now we have the main event of the evening for the middleweight title, Gegard Mousasi versus Jon Salter. Mousasi 47-7-2, one of the most impressive records in MMA in my opinion. Mousasi has been a special talent for his whole career, still a very good fighter to this day. He was a Cage Warriors champ, Strikeforce champ, was a champ over in Japan as well, had a great UFC career, ended up 9-3, left the UFC on a 5-fight win streak over top level competition at the end. And now he finds himself 5-1 in Bellator, 4-1 in his last 5, and that loss was to Rafael Lovato Jr. And he's finished 38 of his 47 wins. He's also a very intelligent fighter, knows when to pour it on and when to kind of take it easy. He will have a slight reach advantage here, and I think he has the boxing advantage, kickboxing advantage. Mousasi is a good wrestler. Salter might have a slight edge there. Jon Salter, 16-4, also a good record. Southpaw fighter, 8-1 in Bellator, 4-1 in his last 5. Also with that loss coming to Rafael Lovato, so very similar over the last 5 fights for the two guys. Salter is a great grappler, dangerous submission game. Not as polished as as Mousasi is on the feet. In my opinion, not quite as polished in general. And, I'm going to be going with Gegard Mousasi. I feel pretty good about that pick. I think that Mousasi is the better guy out of the two. I think as the fight wears on, Mousasi is going to be landing clean and kind of be in control of this one, getting what he wants. And just kind of controlling the action. So those are going to be my picks for Bellator 264 for the whole event. Thank you guys very much for watching. I always appreciate everyone who takes the time to interact with me, like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. I appreciate all of it. I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll catch you on the next one.